Hi folks, Larry Winget here. You know, I just watched a little clip of then Senator Barack Obama saying about George Bush that the $4 trillion worth of debt that accumulated under George Bush's 8 years being our president was both unpatriotic and irresponsible. Yet, in the 6 years since Barack Obama has become our president, he has accumulated $7 trillion worth of debt. Now, does that make Barack Obama nearly twice as unpatriotic? Nearly twice as irresponsible? I am not going to say that about our president. I am not going to be disrespectful to the office of president. I will say this about Barack Obama and nearly every politician that I have come across. They do not seem to understand the irrefutable common sense laws of money. And when it comes to finance, this is the #1 rule. You cannot spend more than you make. There's an old saying that says, when your outgo exceeds your income, then your upkeep becomes your downfall. If that ever applied to any group, any family, any business, believe me, it applies to the United States of America. Our upkeep will become our downfall. We cannot even afford to pay the interest on our debt right now. It is ridiculous. And we spend more than 175% of what we take in. The #2 law is this: you cannot borrow your way out of debt. My daddy told me that when I was a kid. I knew that my whole life. If you have a lot of debt, you don't get out of debt by borrowing more money. Yet, nearly half of every dollar the United States spends is borrowed. Here's the #3 rule of money. If you can't afford it, you don't get to do it. And you don't get to have it. You know, I'll let anybody have any program they want. I'll let anybody do anything in the world they want. On a personal level, as a family, as a business, even as a government, you can do whatever you want as long as you can pay for it. And yet, in government right now, if we see a program, if we see a project, if we see a country that we believe is in need, if we see any group of people, we will go do it like we've got the money. Folks, we don't have the money. The rule is, if you can't pay for it, you don't get it. #4 is this: you got to have savings in case of crisis. Now, every family should understand that. Sadly, they don't, but they should understand that. If you don't have any money and you're living on borrowed money and you're deeply in debt and you spend more money than you make, what do you do when you got to get a new set of tires? Well, you got to go deeper in debt. What do you do when the hot water heater goes out? Well, you got to go in debt for that. We have no surplus in our country. Just like a family with no money, our country has no money. What do we do if Katrina comes again? Well, I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to have to print more money. And see, that's our solution. We'll just print more money. Like, that's a viable solution. That's stupid too. That causes more problem. That creates many more problems than it ever solves. We have no surplus. We have no cash on hand. We have too much debt. We have a deficit. We spend more than we take in. Here's the other one. You cannot pretend it's okay when it's not okay. We have government officials right now who are sticking their head in the sand and saying, you know, it's not all that bad. Don't worry about that. Folks, we need to be worried about that. It's a mess. We are broke. We can't pay for anything that we've got. And here's the last. And I would tell any family this. And as I was on TV working with families who are in true financial crisis, you have to have a plan. What is your plan for fixing this? I haven't seen a good plan come out of either side. You have to have a plan. Listen, there are only 2 ways to have more money. You got to earn more or spend less. Here would be my suggestion. I personally think that you have to cut every government program by 15%. And I mean every government program. I'm talking education, defense, entitlements, welfare, roads. I don't care if it comes down to paper, furniture, and staplers. Every single department needs to be cut by 15%. You can't start saying, no, we're just going to cut over here, and then we're going to cut over there. You see, when you do that, it starts becoming partisan. It starts becoming political. And then no one will get anything done. The only solution is to cut everybody. I will guarantee you this. There is not one line item in government today that doesn't have 15% worth of fat and waste in it. You could cut 15% out of the entire federal budget in every single department and run more efficiently for sure. And that would solve a lot of our financial problems. That's how you start to spend less. Now, then you've got how you're going to earn more. We have got to start being more friendly to business, especially more friendly to small businesses since they employ the bulk of Americans. And by being more friendly to business, that will allow them to grow. That will allow them to hire more people, hire people at higher wages. And when you do that, you have more people employed at a higher wage because we're starting to be friendly to business. That means those people will pay more income tax. By the way, that is revenue to our federal government. That's how they earn more. They will buy more and pay more in sales taxes. Everyone will benefit. So, an across-the-board cut, and I think we've got to figure out a way that our government can start to help businesses so businesses can start to hire more people. Listen, folks, that's my little rant today on what's wrong with government and government spending and how we got this many $1 trillion in debt. That's my solution. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it.